Hello, everybody. So we're recording now. Good. So what we're going to be doing is I'm going to show you how to use a program called JSTrack. All right. And you can see here's the web page. And it's an online tracker. It works on Chromebooks. It works on everything. It syncs with Google Drive. And so I'm going to show you how to use it. And the major advantage of this is it'll do a lot of your analysis for you. And I'll show you how to do the rest. Okay. So you've got a video, some kind of video, and you want to analyze it. And you want to figure out for an object in that video, how fast is it moving, right? At any given point. And you can do that. So I'm going to start with this. You can drag a video here if you want to use that, or I'm going to just select local file. And I'm going to pick this one. This is a file. These are a pair of ear protectors that I use when I'm around extremely noisy things, you know, whatever they are. And so it's going to be ear protector motion demo. And so and this is basically giving you a bunch of information. You can change it if you want. I wouldn't recommend it. If something's falling, it first of all detects how many frames per second. For a slower motion, you might go more frames per second, but this is going to be a pretty fast motion falling. So I'd keep it at one number of frames to move is 30 frames per second, or whatever your camera is doing. Axis color, you want something you can see. So magenta, yeah, I can see it. And you ignore these two. So now just hit create. So I've got an axis, and these axes, basically, you can rotate them if you've got a camera tilted. But all you're really doing is saying, look, this way is the X, this way is the Y. In other words, this way's sideways, this way's up and down. And that's what I picked. All right? And so the idea is you're telling the computer which way's up. That's all. Now, the next step I need to do is I need to figure out what part of this video is relevant, right? So if I play the video, you'll see I'm holding this thing for a little while. And then I let go eventually right about maybe here. Yes. And then it falls and it hits and then it bounces. Well, I don't care about the hit. I don't care about the bounce. I don't care about the part where I walk over and pick it up. I don't really care. Okay? Yes, we can keep playing. So I just want the part where it's moving. I don't want any of the rest of it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these gray upward pointing arrows on the bottom of the screen. And you're going to see I'm going to start dragging them. And you see I can drag this along. I'm holding on to it, holding on to it, holding on to it. So I want to pick the part where my hand just starts to open. Right there. That's where it's going to matter. Now, so here is the part where that's where it hits, right there. So now I'm going to take the other gray arrow on the other side and drag it here. So I've picked the part where I let it go. And I picked the part where it hit. And now I'm cooking with gas. All right. I've isolated the part of the video I need. And now the next step, the next thing I need to do is I need some kind of way to measure, right? Because it's a video, but the thing is that the camera doesn't know like what's in here, you know, like for example, do you have a ruler? Like you can use the ruler to figure out how long things are. Do you have, you know, but basically if without telling the thing how long things are, it won't know, which means it has no way of knowing exactly how far this thing's fallen without some measurement. So we're going to tell it how to measure. We're going to create a scale for it. May as well go with magenta. It's easy to see. Or I can do a little more purplish. How about a nice North Tech purple? Yeah, that's better. Create. So now I'm going to click on the top of my head. And I'm going to click on the bottom of my feet. And so we see, and I can move it to correct it to make sure it's up and down. Yeah, whatever. But what I know is that I am currently 1.75 meters tall. And so I can click here where it has the little purple writing, 0.75. Come on. Click here. 0.75. So I just told it how tall I am. So now it knows every other distance in the video. So it knows how far things are going to fall, et cetera, et cetera. All right. Now this thing you're falling, it cannot, now the thing you're measuring rather, it can't be too far in front of or it can't be too far behind the thing that's falling. It should be right in the same plane. And since I can use myself. If I were behind this thing by too much, I wouldn't be able to tell. Make sense? So now I've got my height, hit return. Okay. Now I'm ready. Ready to record. So to record, I'm going to go to this jagged line, this little lightning bolt, like Harry Potter style lightning bolt here. It's called Create New Track. As you'll notice, I've moused over it. So it's right next to the Create Scale button. The Create Scale button is the one with the 3 little dots joined by a line. This one is the 4 dots joined by a zigzag. Create New Track. Click on it. Now I'm going to just say ear protector. And I want a color I can easily see. So, I mean, that would be pretty good, but I'm actually going to go for bright red. Why not? Bright red's fine. Click Create. Okay, everything's done. Now I'm ready to go. So I am going to go back here, all the way back to the beginning. And now you can't see what I'm doing with my hands. So I'm going to press and hold Shift down, all right? The Shift key, hold it down. You see everything disappears and now I'm ready to go. So I'm going to click on the lowest point of this thing. And you notice now it's shifting down. So I'm going to click on the lowest point again. I'm going to click on the lowest point again. And it's a little hard sometimes to see. Click on the lowest point again. So I'm going to move it out of the way. Okay, good. Click on the lowest point again. Lowest point again. Lowest point again, which should be right here. Lowest point again. Now you'll notice I'm having to move further and further between clicks. This thing is clearly speeding up. Now, the lowest point may move side to side a little bit. That's okay. You just care about the up and down. All right, so you can see I'm moving further and further between clicks. I'm getting close to the bottom, looking for it. It can be a little hard to tell sometimes. Don't worry, there's a way to deal with that. And it's about to hit. This is the lowest point here. And now it bounces. And I don't want to do the rest of this. So I'm going to move this over to here. Right, there we go. So now it bounces. And I don't care about the bounce. So I've just got all this area. Now you'll notice over on the right, there is a table. Awesome. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the top 3 buttons of the table and hit Control C to copy. Now, if I want to vanish the track, by the way, or if I screwed up and want to delete the track, I can click on the trash can next to it. Okay, so I've done this. Now I'm going to scroll down all the way and say, it says open spreadsheet for further calculations. I'm going to click on that. Now it says copy entire table from JSTrack. Click here and paste. So I'm going to click right there. Click Control V. Come on. Oh, it probably didn't copy properly. Okay, we're going to go back up. I'm going to click on the table, click Control C. Oh, right. I forgot one thing. I need to make my own copy of this. So I'm going to make a copy of JSTrack calculations. I'm going to open it up here. Okay, now I can copy paste in here. All right, now let's try it. Control V, and there you go. And now this thing has auto-populated. Okay, we're going to analyze this in a second. Let me close the original. The mistake I made originally, by the way, you see where it says comment only? Yeah. This is the person who made this. This is his file. I cannot do anything with it until I hit File, Make a Copy. All right, see at the top right, File, then Make a Copy? Yeah, that's what I need to do to make my own copy. So I do that. And then I can close this, and now I'm on my copy, and I can call this whatever I want. I can call this ear protector JSTrack calculations. Okay. Now, before we get to working with this sheet is auto-saved, but there's a problem. I might have screwed up. I might need to go back. And if I have closed the JSTrack thing, it's going to be a problem because I'll have to redo everything. You'll notice there's this yellow thing right here. Looks like a little dot inside a partial circle. It's bright yellow. Yes, that means it's partially saved, but that's not okay. That's not enough. I want to go to the little disk, little black square here. It's the bottom row of buttons all the way on the left. Click Save. I can save it to my Google Drive, or I can save it to my computer. I don't care which, and I'm going to call it Ear Protector Video Demo. And I'm going to click the download button, or I can click the Google Drive button, either way. Now it's saved, okay? That means now, if I accidentally lose track of this thing, okay, or if I need to actually go back and get more data, I take that file, the JSTrack file I just pulled down, and I upload it instead of the original video. And it'll have all my data for me, okay? So let's go back over and let's take a look at this. Okay, so there are some things I can hide. For example, I don't really care about this distance. So I'm gonna say, but you see here where it says distance unit, I'm gonna go for meters. All right, and you'll notice now it'll give me everything in meters. That's fine. So you see where it says unit definitions here? I'm gonna paint the cell so you guys can see it. This yellow cell here. This one is the one you change, okay? Now, I've got my original data table over here. This is great, but I have a problem, okay? The problem is the following. I don't really care about the X, okay? All I care about is the Y, the downwards drop. The X, it was probably wiggling back and forward a little. I don't care about that. I don't want that velocity. I don't want that information. So what I'm going to do is I am going to go to D, you see where it says VX. I can hide it if I want to, or I can get rid of it. I have AX, I don't care about this. These are the ones that I care about. I'm going to paint them. Fill yellow. Fill yellow. These are the two I care about. Now, I don't care about the force because I don't have a mass to worry about, and we're not going to do F equals ma. This would let you calculate the force on the object. It's kind of nice that way. The other thing I have a problem with is this spreadsheet. It's using scientific notation, and that's a pain to deal with. So I'm going to do something else here, which is I'm going to select this, and I'm going to click. You see where it says, if you go to the More Formats button, it has a 1, 2, 3, and then a down arrow. It's at the top of the screen next to the default font, and just right below the Tools menu, where it says Tools. So I'm going to click down, and I'm going to say I just want the number. I don't want it automatic. I just want the number. Notice all of a sudden it starts giving me decimals. This is much better. I'm going to go over to G, and I'm going to do the same thing, just the number. Okay, there we go. Now I've made things simpler. So I am going to scroll down and take a look here. All right. And you'll notice I've got some interesting numbers here. My velocity, you can tell it was going up to about -5 max as it was falling. And then I guess when it hit, it slowed down a little bit. So it was -3, and then it started to bounce upwards. This one, I've got a bunch of different accelerations. Some of them are a little weird. This is probably because I wasn't as precise as my clicking as I could be. So what does that mean? Does that mean I really got a -37 meters per second squared velocity? Not, or acceleration really? Not really. So I got to deal with this. I got to find an easier way to do this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this whole thing and I'm going to average it. Now, the easiest way to do that is you go to the cell just below it and you click equal and you start to type average. You notice it opened up a little, little menu above there, and I can just pick average. Now it's got a parenthesis and a little blinking thing. And you can see in the function bar just below the printer sign, whatever, on the top left, it's got a bunch of stuff. So I'm going to scroll up to the top number. I'm going to take that 0 in my case, I think, and I'm going to scroll down. And I'm going to go to, and I'm going to basically select all of that area that I want to average. And then I'm going to close parentheses and hit return. And I get negative 7.75. Now, is this necessarily right? I don't know. Maybe I want to change to G12. 8.31. Yeah, okay. So this average here, I'm going to highlight where I did it so you can see it. You see it's a bright, you see it's so that dull orange. Negative 8.31. So it was not accelerating quite at 9.8, right? It was accelerating at 8.31. And there's a reason we want to think about that. But right now we just have an accurate average, so that's okay. 8.3, a little less than 9.8, there's a reason. Okay. Now the velocities, you'll notice they're going up. And so this is the data and calculations. Now, so far you've got this. These are the data tables. I don't care about anything that says X, but the data tables you want to paste in are going to be all the ones that I've highlighted in yellow. All right, so this one here, Y, and then you're going to want to paste the time as well. And you're going to want to paste this. And the Y, the VY, and the AY, okay? All of these you want to paste in. These are your data tables, and I really care about that average. You're going to have some very weird accelerations, all right? It happens. I just want that velocity. Okay, now let me take a look at these visualizations things. So this is a constant velocity visualization. And so you see where it says this, it's graphing it for you, right? Now, the problem we have here is you'll notice when X position over time is pretty much standard. We don't care about X. But the Y, you have a curve, which is why you don't want to use the constant velocity visualizations. If you want to post that in, you can. But the point is that this is a curved line. So it's a weird graph here. But let's see, constant acceleration visualizations. Yes. You notice how this fits much better here, Y position versus time. Now we can scroll down and we see Y velocity versus time, and we can see there's a little bit of an error here, but it gives us what we call line of best fit. And then Y acceleration versus time. Again, it gives us a line of best fit here. So basically we have this, we have some graphs, and these are graphs that you can make, or you can take some screenshots and you can put them in. It graphs it for you. Isn't this a nifty program? It graphs it for you. It gets your information. Oh, it's awesome. Okay, so you want the constant acceleration visualizations sheet here. All right, and I'm going to change the color so you can see it. This is the one. And then your data and calculation sheet, I'm going to change the color. This is the one. So these two sheets are the ones you should look at, data and calculations and constant acceleration. Make sense? Okay. Now, are we done? Not really, but we've got our data, and now it's time to write our lab report, okay? And these graphs, or something like them, should show up here, and you can in fact see that this gives you a line of best fit, which you don't need to worry about very much, but these graphs themselves, yeah, these matter. The Y acceleration doesn't really matter that much, but the Y velocity and the Y position, they do matter. You do want these two graphs to go in the report for whatever you do, okay? As well as these guys, these 4 columns. Also note that for every object, I expect all of the graphs and all of these. It's easy. It's just Control-C, Control-V, paste it in, okay? Now, that being said, as I said, I've got all this information here back in JSTrack. I've saved it. If I want to reload it or go back to it, I can, but make sure that you've saved it. All right. And also you can export data if you want. This will get it, and you can play around with a few things. You can edit the project and whatever, but mostly everything is done at this point and I wouldn't touch it. Okay, so this is your project completed. Now move on to the next track. Okay, have a nice evening, everybody, and I shall see you in the future.